Welcome to this explainer. Look, today we're decoding 8 absolutely timeless financial principles pulled straight from ancient biblical texts. Whether you're a total novice when it comes to personal finance or you're a seasoned investor, what we're going to look at today offers a highly practical and surprisingly relevant blueprint for modern money management. We're going to count down 8 specific actionable principles to see exactly how these ancient sources approach wealth, stability, and peace of mind. So let's get right into it. Right now, we're constantly bombarded, right? Toxic hustle culture, endless crypto fads, and get-rich-quick schemes are just constantly flooding our social media feeds. But the source texts we're examining today reveal some incredibly grounding, ancient advice. They remind us that the absolute best financial wisdom isn't necessarily coming out of Wall Street right now. Instead, it was written thousands of years ago, and it is entirely focused on long-term stability and genuine peace of mind. Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our wealth life cycle agenda. We're going to logically progress through 4 stages. First, foundation, diligence and integrity. Second, defense, spending, debt, and saving. Third, offense, diversifying income. And fourth, purpose, the true goal of money. All right, starting with section 1, foundation, diligence, and integrity. And this brings us to principle number 1, working with diligence. Just take a look at this quote. The plans of the diligent lead surely to abundance. This comes from Proverbs 21:5. What really stands out here is that prosperity, at least in these texts, requires immense discipline and actual planning. It's not enough to simply have the desire for abundance. You have to pair that desire with deliberate, methodical diligence. And this brilliantly illustrates how biblical diligence is pretty much the exact opposite of today's frantic, burnout-inducing hustle culture. The texts consistently warn against get-rich-quick shortcuts. Instead, they focus on steady, diligent planning. It's really about showing up, doing the work consistently, and letting that effort compound over time. It is the absolute antithesis of trying to game the system. Which leads us right into principle number 2, maintaining integrity. Proverbs 16:8 states, "Better a little with righteousness than much gain with injustice." You see, the texts repeatedly warn against dishonest gain. They make a profound argument that your character and your integrity hold a significantly higher value than quick money. Building your foundation on injustice or deceit might yield a really fast return, but it completely undermines the lasting stability these principles are trying to build. Moving on to section 2, defense, spending, debt, and saving. Now, what's really interesting about this next piece of advice, principle number 3 on controlling impulsive spending, is just how blunt it is. Fools spend whatever they get. This highlights a fundamental truth found in the text. Financial problems almost always start with emotional decisions and a sheer lack of self-control. If your immediate instinct upon receiving money is just to go out and spend it, well, the ancient wisdom literally classifies that as foolish behavior. So let's look at principle number 4, saving for the future. We see a really vivid contrast here in the source material. On one side, you have the foolish spender. They're driven by emotional decisions and instant gratification, spending everything immediately. But on the other side, you have the wise planner. The texts specifically praise the ant as an example of this wisdom, an insect that naturally anticipates the future by storing food during the harvest seasons. It's pretty amusing to think that thousands of years ago, a literal bug was considered a better financial advisor than most humans. True wisdom means planning ahead and preparing for winter, rather than just consuming everything the moment it touches your hands. And a massive part of that defense strategy is principle number 5, avoiding debt. Proverbs 22:7 delivers this so powerfully. The borrower is servant to the lender. The texts don't just view debt as some minor financial inconvenience. No, they present it as a literal form of bondage and a profound loss of personal freedom. Think about it. When you owe money, your future labor is already spoken for by someone else. Let's see how this all builds together into a clear 3-step defense strategy. Step 1, control your spending. Step 2, build your reserves. And step 3, reclaim your freedom by avoiding debt. This sequence is basically the ancient formula for escaping financial bondage and building an unbreakable defense. All right, on to section 3, offense. Diversifying your income. So if you had to guess how many income streams ancient wisdom actually recommends for true security, what would you say? Well, the text actually gives us a very specific metric. And here it is, principle number 6, diversifying income. This is from Ecclesiastes 11:2, invest in 7 ventures, yes, in 8. I find this absolutely fascinating. This isn't some modern business guru talking on a stage. This is an ancient text explicitly encouraging multiple streams of income. It's directly advising against depending on just one single source of revenue for your livelihood. So, the crucial point here is that this is literally the ancient equivalent to modern portfolio diversification. The principle is simple but incredibly powerful. Do not depend on a single source of income. If one venture fails, you have 6 or 7 others to catch you. It proves just how timelessly practical this advice really is. The mechanics of money might have changed over the millennia, but the underlying mathematics of risk, they simply haven't. Finally, Section 4. Purpose, the true goal of money. So, having built a foundation, secured your defense, and run your offense, what is all this wealth actually for? That brings us to principle number 7, practicing generosity. Proverbs 11:25 says, "Whoever refreshes others will be refreshed." The sources make it undeniably clear that biblical wealth is fundamentally meant for impact and generosity. It's not just about hoarding it away in a vault. True financial success includes being generous even while you are building that wealth. It's about how your resources can positively impact the world around you. Now, we absolutely have to address this incredibly famous quote from 1 Timothy, "For the love of money is a root of all kinds of evil." An impartial analysis of the text shows it does not actually condemn money itself. Money is morally neutral in these sources. What the text is specifically warning against is the love of money, that dangerous, all-consuming obsession with wealth that corrupts your integrity and destroys your peace. Which leads us perfectly into principle number 8, viewing money as a tool rather than a master. Ultimately, the text wants you to view money as an instrument. Adopting this exact mindset prevents greed. It keeps money in its proper place as a highly effective resource for good rather than an idol that dictates your every waking thought and decision. Remember, you control the tool. The tool does not control you. When we pull all 8 of these principles together, from working with diligence to viewing money as a tool, we're looking at an absolute masterclass in holistic finance. These lessons were never about becoming instantly rich. They are entirely about building stability over time, cultivating wisdom and daily discipline, actively practicing generosity, and ultimately achieving lasting financial peace. That is the true return on investment here. Which leaves us with this final, provocative question based on the ancient texts we've explored today. Does your money serve you, or do you serve your money? I really want you to think about your own habits, your debts, and your goals. By applying this ancient wisdom to your modern wealth, you just might find the financial freedom you've been looking for. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I highly encourage you to take these timeless principles to heart.